Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to turn now to the ranking member of the full committee, Ms. DeLauro, for any opening comments.
Thank you very much, Chairman Calvert and Ranking Member McCollum, and good to be with you, Chairman Cole and Secretary Hegseth and General Caine and Undersecretary Hurst. Welcome to the committee. The President is requesting $1.5 trillion in defense funding for the coming fiscal year. $1.5 trillion is an extraordinary sum of money. Congress and the American people have concerns about what you plan to do with this money. In fact, we have concerns about what you are doing with the more than $1 trillion you already have from last year's appropriations and reconciliations bills. How much will the President's, quote, skirmish in CENTCOM cost? I know at a recent hearing, $25 billion was cited, but we don't know what that includes or for what time period. This was only supposed to last 6 weeks. We have thus far been unable to get any reliable information as to the true cost of this war. The current ceasefire is tenuous at best, with attacks on Gulf nations happening just over the weekend. The President tweeted he will not support the latest communication from Iran, which we might agree with if we knew what was in it. But there has been a consistent lack of transparency since this war began. Media reports suggest there is intelligence that indicates Iran can survive for months at the current standoff, which means the cost of deployment of 50,000 service personnel with their equipment will only increase, as every additional day this war goes on brings with it additional costs. This administration has not presented Congress with any kind of clear or coherent strategy. Week to week, day to day, hour to hour, the rationale shifts, the objectives change. The end game is ill-defined when it is defined at all. If the administration intends to ask Congress for supplemental funding for the Iran war, then you need to come back to Congress and testify on that request specifically so that we and the American people can fully understand what this administration has gotten us into and how it plans to get us out of it. The question must be answered at the end of this crisis. What have we accomplished and at what cost? And before you come to the Congress for additional emergency funding, we need information. Has the department or any of the services utilized mandatory funding for operational activities in CENTCOM? If so, how much and from what accounts? If you can provide us with that breakout, it would be enormously helpful. And again, what is the department's estimate of the full cost of the operation against Iran to date? The $1 trillion allocated for fiscal year 2026, $1.5 trillion requested for fiscal year 2027, and possibly $25 billion for an upcoming supplemental, all as the total debt in the United States has reached 100% of gross domestic product. In other words, the national debt is now larger than the U.S. economy and about twice the historic average, according to the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. The defense budget includes requested funding for the expanded Golden Dome for America at $185 billion, though those budget numbers are tenuous. A new Golden Fleet, in which 3 ships are estimated to cost $43 billion, and billions for private equity ventures, which do not have well-defined processes or sufficient transparency. With gas prices and inflation numbers increasing, the American people just want to afford the basic necessities for everyday life. But this administration is not doing anything to help them with the cost of living crisis. In fact, the administration is making the problem worse by proposing dramatic cuts across the board to domestic programs that support American families. We have the most powerful military in the history of humankind. I am extraordinarily grateful, as my other colleagues have pointed out, to the men and women of our armed services who sacrifice everything to keep us safe. Their devotion to duty is exemplary, and it must be matched by the seriousness and the sobriety of those at the very top of the chain of command. And right now, I worry if that standard is being met. I look forward to your testimonies today and hearing the answers to this committee's questions shortly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.